Yeah, you're listening to the Urban Sports Scene. I'm Wole, but the homie Ray Jeezy's out. You can also check us out at www.urbansportscene.com. Before we talk about some Commander stuff, because you know it's the playoffs. We talking playoffs. We talking playoffs. Before we get into all that, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you subscribe to the Urban Sports Team YouTube channel as well. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports and hit us up on IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene. I like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page, man. Man, if you're on our YouTube channel right now, hit that red subscribe button. Also, like this video. Also, you can join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. You can also check out our NFL weekly picks. We're in the postseason, and you can check that out on the Football Garbage Time website, which is www.footballgarbagetime.com. It's part of the Urban Sports Scene versus Football Garbage Time Pick'em Challenge. Ray and we both trash. I know I'm trash, so I can't hold y'all. Don't use my picks. I'm terrible. All right, anyway, here's it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Commanders reporter Donna Hopkins will join me to talk about the Commanders' upcoming playoff wildcard game against the Tampa Bay Bucks. All right, so let me have a Q and Donna right now. Hey, Donna.
What's happening?
What's happening?
Oh, you know what? It's
up?
Playoffs. That's what's happening. We're talking about the Commanders in the playoffs.
Yes,
and
indeed.
They did not have to pack lockers on this past Monday.
We
heard that for a long time.
Donna, I know, right? I'm about to ask you, when's the last time? Like, usually, you got to do your exit interviews and whatnot and all that. Look at you now.
I just know that this time last year, we were in the lockers on Monday, cleaning out the lockers, interviewing the players as they exit out. We had a head coach that was exiting the door also. So there was a lot of things happening last year, but this year with all the great changes, I mean, we headed to the playoffs. Who would have believed that when we started the season? Nobody in their right mind.
Donna, I wouldn't be the one. I'll tell you that much right now.
Well, let me give you some intel. I was talking to the players this past week. I was talking to Durrance Armstrong, and he said that Coach Tapp told him and that defensive line that at the beginning of the season, I mean, this hasn't even dropped on my social media.
Okay.
He said that at the beginning of the season, Coach Tapp told them that they would be here. I said, even though he said that, isn't that hard to believe? That's not a reality. But Armstrong said that after they got past a few games and whatever, you could, and they got, into training camp, preseason, and into a few of the games, that they started to see some things started to click for that defensive side. So he said that it was hard to believe it at first when he said it. But then after they started, the brotherhood and that team started to coming together, they could see that. But it's kind of crazy that Coach Tapp felt it and seen it, early on.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought, I liked what I saw at training camp when I was there a couple times. I did like it. I thought that, okay, maybe they win about 6-7 games. Then, surely but slowly, you know what I mean? After, like I said, this we did a show, but I said after the Monday night game, that's when I became a believer into like, okay, maybe they got something here. Like that Monday, the Giants game, I wasn't really impressed with, even though they won. They kicked off field goals, they got beat by Tampa, but it was that Bengals game for me where I was like, oh,
that's what I was getting ready to say. The Bengals game is when you said, okay, got something here.
Yeah. That was it. Everything else was like, before that, I was like, okay,
And everybody keeps saying, okay, you got to have luck, on this. But you know what? It doesn't come down to just luck. It comes down to this team battling, opponents, believing that they can beat anybody. The saying, anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, that rings true. I probably got it backwards a little bit, but that's the gist of it. And they totally believe that. And this team, which Coach Quinn, from day one, he set the foundation. And I think that's the most important thing is when you come into a regime, you have to set the tone, the foundation. And I think that's what Kingsbury said. What he has learned from Coach Quinn is that from his time in Arizona, that is Kingsbury, now what he's learned, if he ever got a chance again, is laying the foundation early. And that's what Coach Quinn said, hey, become the brotherhood really quick. And that's exactly what they did, is that brotherhood formed really quick. And it's players really caring about each other. I see that out there all the time. That, people would say, oh, the brotherhood. Yeah, it's a lot of talk, but it really is truly a brotherhood. Every time I talk to a player, they are basically saying that it's the brotherhood as far as fighting for each other.
That's crazy, because I was one of those people when I kept hearing that mantra. I was like, man, it's football. Everybody, it's supposed to be a brotherhood. What are we talking about?
But
like,
you come on, you know what a brotherhood really is.
I know it.
Brotherhood ain't just, hey, give me some dap. We brothers. A brotherhood is that I'm going to go down in the fire with you, and I really truly like you. That's, I think, what it is I truly like you. That if I'm not on the field, okay. So for instance, Jaden Daniels leaves the game in Dallas with the leg issues and whatever, which he said is fine now, and he could have played had it been the playoffs. But he goes out, Mariota comes in, and he's on the sideline cheering harder than anybody else, wanting him to win. And even the team during the games and everything, that defense is up cheering on the offense and vice versa and all that. That's what I'm talking about, the brotherhood. That's what a brotherhood is. It's not just give me some dap, I like you, but no, I will go into the fire with you. And right now, hey, Wally, they've been in the fire for the last 4 games or so in the end. And that's what I think that I see now, is that this team believes that they can win even if they're down, no matter what. Unlike last year, they better be up the whole time. And if you're talking about trying to come back and win, wasn't going to happen.
You know what, Donna? This is one thing you got a dope perspective on. A lot of these folks who cover this team that don't, because you mentioned brotherhood, and so you've seen a brotherhood that's resulted in a championship. Is there, in terms of what this team did in the past, like with 90, I'll use 91 as a reference, right? Do you feel like this team is, in terms of brotherhood, in terms of liking each other, playing for each other, is there any similarities to that type of team?
I think that this team is more of a brotherhood than that team.
Okay.
Because when I look at all the players that was on that team, the Charles Manns, Darryl Greens, and all of that, Champ Bailey, all of those guys that were there, the John Riggins and all that, wasn't the same. It was like we're gonna play together. We're a team and everything. But the when you talk about and not to say that they weren't going to go down fighting for each other and so forth, but these guys, it's a little different. I can't explain it, but it's a little different of what I'm seeing from this squad. I think that this is a true brotherhood because Coach Quinn kind of like sets that tone, because I like his energy. I've been through a lot of coaches with the Commanders, the Redskins, Commanders, and so forth. But this is the first year that I can say, and maybe even throughout my whole career, that, gosh, this is a special team. And just because of the whole coaching staff. And we had great coaches, the Pettibons, the Joe Bugles, the, Joe Gibbs during that time when he had all of those, the Bobby Bethers, all of those people. But this to me is almost like a younger regime where you have a coach that, Coach Gibbs was laid back somewhat, but Aaron Quinn is almost like, let's go get her. So it's a difference. And then all the coaches he's got on this staff have won somewhere else too, have been head coaches. So maybe that's the different flavor that I'm seeing, is that, I really enjoyed covering this team this year. I mean, it's been a joy as far as just talking with the players, the young ones, the old ones, and you got a quarterback that sets the tone too, because of what he, when they finally got that right. That was the thing, is getting that right. But what Jaden Daniels brings to this organization and this team is even keel that he's never going to think that he's ever out of a game. He's not going to get upset where he gets to the point where, oh man, I threw that interception and it's going to affect me moving on. Nope, it's like out the door and let's keep going. And so he believes that when he gets the ball in his hands, if they're down, and even the team believes this, that they're going to win. So they finally got that quarterback position right, which to me is everything in moving the team forward, and the front office with Adam Peters as the general manager, and then a new ownership, and then you get a coaching staff like they have with Dan Quinn as the head, Kingsbury, hopefully he won't leave and move on. And then you got Joe Witt leading the defense. So, I mean, what's not to love about this team right now?
It seems like you like this team more, and Joe Gibbs is like my coach.
And I went to a Super Bowl with him, but no, yeah. I really like both teams have a place where I like that team because of some of the things that they did. They were more of a veteran team.
They were. That's a good point.
Where this team is more of a youth team. So that's the difference that I'm talking about. It's not like liking one over the other. It's just a different team perspective in a veteran team versus a younger team. But they have, but Jayden Daniels is a better quarterback no matter what. Yeah, but I think that they had so many other moving pieces because they had the Hogs. I mean, offensive line that set records during that year. And then you had a defense with Charles Mann, Dexter Manley, and Dave Butts and all that. What is not to love about that? So that, like I said, those two teams and this team is like pretty special to me in seeing what they did.
I do like this team.
You know what? This is their first playoff game, so we got to see. The other team was a proven team that went on and won a Super Bowl.
But I think to your point, there's excitement because it's a young team doing it, and it's the unknown, and it's young. Young folks get you like this exuberance, right? Like this joy. It's like it's a different vibe, right? When folks know they've been there before, and it's kind of like, oh, it's like another. I don't want to call it a chore because I think playing sports is a joyful game. If you're playing. If the environment's the right way, if the environment,
they made my reporting much better too, as far as exciting. And anytime you win, it's going to be fun anyway, because when they've been on a losing streak for so long, it's been a drought where it's like you just want to pull the teeth to say, can this be over? But with the energy with this team and just their outlook, even in the locker room, you wouldn't think that they, a young team, you would see them like being giddy and all that. But it was like, nope, business at hand. On to the next game, on to the playoffs. We've got a mission. So it wasn't to that point where the atmosphere of the locker room was almost like a veteran, like we've been here before. That's what I got out of the locker room, is because you have a little mixture of, the old, the new, some people that have been to the playoffs that's helping navigate this, and a coaching staff that's been there. So that's the reason why I think that this team is kind of like settled going into the playoffs and not rattled going into the playoffs, no matter who they play.
Yeah, I do. I just feel like this team is just different, obviously, from the other regime and whatnot. And it's different from it's different even from the Shanny regime and whatnot, because I just feel like, to your point, there is a joy of playing with each other. It doesn't feel like it's a chore. There is a joy with it. And that's just something I feel like we haven't seen in the past. But I think you tackled this a little bit, but I do want to get into it. So obviously, we're just talking about this big game Sunday night. The Commanders travel to Tampa to take on the NFC South champions in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round. Donna, so I guess I'm just the gist of it. What is the overall vibe for this team going into this game? What is the overall vibe?
Yeah, they know that even winning those games at the end of the season, coming out with a win in Dallas, that was huge. You don't want to go into the playoffs with an L. Yeah, true. So I think that they're using that as far as what they were able to do in coming back and winning that game. But I think they understand that it was a lot of things that they need to clean up if they're to go further in the playoffs, not just one and done. They don't want to be NCAA tournament. It's one and done and you're at home. But you want to go on into each round of this playoff. So they know what's at hand. They know what they've got to do. On the offensive side, they know that Running the ball has been something that's been missing for some weeks now, but with Austin Eckler back in the lineup, even though he didn't have much touches last week because you had Jayden Daniels and Mariota running and making the yardage, but you can't have your quarterback, and they understand that. Your quarterback can run if they have to, but they don't want him to have to, be the running back, the leading, or like up in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. You don't want to have your quarterback being the running back and the quarterback, but if they have to run, they can do that. So the Commanders know that on the offensive side of the ball that they've got to get the running game going, and they're capable of doing that because Coach Quinn talked about, what do we have to do? But one person has been missing that I think is going to make the difference is Talabi Adish.
Yeah.
With him being gone, he is the quarterback of that offensive line. He is the quarterback next to Jayden Daniels that makes that offensive line go. When he's gone, I mean, the experience that he brings here to Washington, and the fact that the communication parts, the pulling, and all of those things that he does, being a veteran, that's what was missing, I think, when he was out those few games. And to have him back in, he had that ankle injury, but he said he's ready to go. I think that's where you're going to see a difference as far as this offense also is him being back in there and them being able to run the ball behind him and that offensive line. You think about Brian Robinson, and that hasn't really had a lot of great touches, but they want to get the ball in him because he's more of the bruiser. And as Coach Quinn said, that Austin Eckler is the slicer, and he adds 3 different dimensions to your offense with him being in there. And then, you got Jeremy McNichols and also Rodriguez. I don't know if Rodriguez is going to be there with those 3 guys up. Yeah. Austin Eckler also as a punt returner, but I think they found their guy back there with Luke McCaffrey, and you have Crowder back, and I Crowder, the veteran, back. So you can have those 2 guys back there as far as running the ball, returning the ball, kickoffs, and punt returners. So on the offensive side, they just said that they've got to stay true to what they do. And the thing too on the offensive side, and I'm starting there, is they can't have a slow start in the playoffs. I mean, you get second chances because you got you got another game if you're in the regular season. But this is one and done. So you have to play your best game right now. And they know that they've got to step it up a level. And even though Jayden Daniels, this is his first time being in the playoffs, I don't think he'll be rattled with that. Because I think that what he has done during the course of this regular season, these last 4 or 5 games where they had to come back and win in the end, he's already been battle tested of what it takes to win in the trenches. And that's the thing right there. This game is going to be won in the trenches on the defense and the offensive line. January ball is won in the trenches. And that's the key thing to me is, how does that offensive line come out? Because one good thing about the role players being that the wide receivers and running backs and all that, and I don't want to say role players, but because they're key players too. Yeah. But the wide receivers have stepped up their game too. Alameda and Crowder has really played well down the stretch these last 4 or 5 games, so that's good. And Terry has played with like an all-pro. I mean, if anybody is questioning, is Terry a number 1 receiver? Well, he proved a lot this year. That he is right there, so you can put that to bed as far as him making big plays and so forth. But they have to get him involved early in the game and not late, because they're going to try to take Terry out of the game. And then you have De'Ami Brown also. Right. So the receivers basically have stepped up a lot, especially Alameda and Crowder these last 4 or 5 games. And they're going to need, as the players tell me, all hands on deck.
I'm reading some comments. My man Simba says, we have been battle tested throughout the season, no doubt. Can we continue to overcome the battles we have been in?
That's the key thing. As Bobby Wagner said this after the game on Sunday, I was talking about that to him, about this team being able to rally back and fight back and win. And he said, although we know that we can do that, you don't want to always have to do that. And I think that that's the thing in this playoff game is don't put yourself in a position where you have to fight back. We know what Tampa Bay has on both sides of the ball. I mean, they're explosive on the offensive side of the ball with Baker Mayfield, 4,500 yards on the year, 41 touchdowns, just 16 interceptions. They've got Bucky Irvins, the running back, and they got new life in their backfield now with him, a rookie, 1,000 yards on the year, and then Mike Evans for the 11th time, he gets that 1,000 yards, and those are just two players on that side, but their offense is explosive in what they do, and the defensive players talking to them this week. They said that the first time around, Baker Mayfield got out, created some problems, and what they've got to do is stay true to their gap control. The run defense has been an Achilles heels of this Commanders team all year long, and stopping the running backs. And it comes down to, they said, staying true to your assignments. Don't go past. Look, don't try to help nobody else. You stay in your lane, and let me stay in my lane and stay in that gap control. And then this guy's not able to get out. And then they said, Coach Witt talked about just wrapping up Baker Mayfield because he did a lot of damage last time. And that was eons ago during the first part of the season. But, they've got intel on them, just like they got intel on the Commanders in how do we slow this explosive offense down. And that, to me, starts with being able to stop the running game, something that they have not been great at this year. And I meant to mention on the other side of the ball, the Buccaneers defense is solid. I mean, they blitz, and they blitz. And last week they blitzed 18 times. 18 times they blitzed. And so I asked Coach Witt about that, and I asked also Kingsbury. I asked Kingsbury about the blitzing defense of the Bucs, and he was talking about certain things that they have to do as far as holding their blocks and making sure that they stay on their assignments and getting rid of the ball a little quicker and coaching Jayton up a little quicker also, because Tampa Bay is relentless as far as bringing the pressure. They're fast, they're aggressive, but this Commanders offensive line has to play the best ball of their life as far as just basically not being bullied and pushed around up front.
I do. I agree with that. Todd has had a comment. I agree with Todd. I'm worried about our tackling. I'm coming into the game with the Bucs interior pressure. Our tackles can be on an island a lot. He's worried about the tackles. Excuse me, the tackles, not the tackling. Sorry, the tackles, the offensive tackles.
Yeah, but where you can attack Tampa Bay is with your tight ends too, and that's again when you have an explosive defense like the Buccaneers, you got to be able to get rid of the ball quickly. And so one thing about Jayton that helps this offensive line is that he's able to survey the field quickly, and if he doesn't see anything, take off. And one thing that Jayton has to do, sometimes he holds onto the ball a little bit trying to make a play, and Kingsbury said he has to just throw it away, instead of taking the sack and whatever. We know that what Dallas did last week with, I think they had 6 sacks on and 4 on Jayton. So it's basically getting rid of the ball out of your hands quickly. Kingsbury said coaching Jayton up quickly, getting him the plays so that you don't have to rely on, like you said, the tackles. And they just have to do their jobs. They know that Tampa is going to be coming at them with this blitz, multiple times, aggressive, because they did it the first time, and 18 times last week. You know that they're going to come at you with Todd Bowles, and Todd Bowles does. Not taking any away from the Commanders, because Kingsbury has done a tremendous job coaching this offense up. But Todd Bowles throws a lot of different twists and everything on their offense, on their defense. And so this Commanders team has to be able to counter. And that's what Coach Witt said, that they have to be, I said, it's like a chess match. He said they have to be able to counter whatever they're doing. And I asked him that, how do they match up with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, and he said that they match up well. It's just basically you have to do your job, and they have to be able to coach and be smarter than Todd Bowles and all those guys over there. But the Commanders in the second half have made great adjustments in coming back from being down. But this is a game that you do not want to be down because the emotions, because you already know that if you get down, this is over if you don't come back through. So don't put that added pressure on you. And Wally, you know it starts getting a little tighter when you're down and when that clock keeps ticking and ticking and ticking, and you're like, and even though you know it's a young team too, and you emotion, because I'm like, I'm like, come on, don't put yourself in that predicament, because to me, they need to come out and be really aggressive. This Commanders team on both sides of the ball. And that to me is keys right there, is how do you come out? You come out smacking them around instead of them smacking you around.
Yeah, I agree. My concern, and I'm going to read Paul's question about, and I'm going to talk about this particular player secondly. But first, my concern is more of, you mentioned Bucky Irvin, and just this team all year hasn't been able to stop the run. Just call it what it is. You know what I mean? And I heard you talk to Coach Witt about various things about this defense. But like, I want to know like, how will they be able to fix that up? Because that's been a problem all year, and it's hard. And for weeks everybody's been saying stop the run. Because I know you asked him a question about how. Well, like, what are some of the good things he's liked about his defense? And he's talked about how, and he mentioned some of the good things about how they turned the ball over in that muff punt, and they still were able to kind of hold it down on defense. But he kind of glossed over, like, I know a lot of people talk about the run, and I'm like, yeah, well, that is a big issue, bro. Like, so.
Right, but what did he say with that? With because of the run situation, he said if they can force turnovers, that's going to be able to help them a lot.
He did say that, yeah.
So I think that's where the Commanders want to get better too, is getting the ball, forcing the turnovers, because at time, I mean, Frankie Louvu almost had one in his hands that just dropped down to the ground. And to me, you have to, because Tampa Bay does a good job on their defense in forcing turnovers. Yeah. So to me, that's what Coach Witt says. They've got to be able to force some turnovers to help them also. But even still, though, he said what they have to do, you have to stay in your assignments. You know how sometimes people's like, well, I'll come over there and help you. No, you stay where you are. So because if you come over and help me, then that gap control, that opening, he's going to slide right through. So the other thing is, you have to hold your blocks and everything. Who wins? I told you who wins the battles up front, trench wise. Yeah. And so therefore, are they going to be more physical to you? And Coach Witt talked a little bit about that. He said in that last game, and what he likes during the stretch of the season, there's physicality. So this is one game that you better be more physical than the other guy, because you've got to be able to have the strength up front, because Tony always gets on me. He was talking about the secondary. Everybody harps on that. Well, Lattimore is coming back. Could you imagine that matchup between him and Evans? And hopefully that hamstring will hold up and everything, but he's to play this week, so that should be able to help them a lot more. But it starts up front, really, because you can only be good in the secondary, as good as the secondary, as what those guys do up front. So if those guys are not getting Baker Mayfield down, if they're not getting Bucky Irvin's back, if they're not stopping the run and all of those things, then, and you give him Baker Mayfield a long time to get the ball out of his hands, then the secondary doesn't have a chance. You have to have the pressure up front. It starts there. And the secondary can only be as good. We know that there are some deficiency in the secondary, but Mikey Sandry still is not playing like a rookie. He has no fear. And then to have Lattimore back over there, Quan Martin didn't play last week because he had that little bug, but he's back this week. You like what you've got in the safeties, and then the linebacker play, you like what you got. So they have every piece, but up front, can't stop the run. So that's where it starts, right up front. Stay in your position, stay in your gap.
I totally agree. Paul, you mentioned Lattimore. He's coming back, so hopefully he plays the full game First, I'm gonna let Paul has a question for you about Lattimore. I have a secondary question. Said, did they say Lattimore's gonna follow Mike Evans? Will he be following Mike Evans?
They didn't say that for sure. Everybody's just assuming that because they matched up before, when they were with other teams, that of course they're going to match up again this time. But you know what? I think that even if you have a Mikey Semmer still,
I think so too. Yeah,
that he's to me can play that because Mikey plays the run and the pass really well. He tackles well. So, I mean, you may see them switch off on him because I don't know. So just because he guarded him on opposite when they were with other teams, it's not to say that he's going to guard him here. So I'm not for sure because they have not released that intel.
Mm-hmm.
That would be game time for all.
I know they're not going to give that out. I know they're not.
No, because one time I asked Coach Witt something. He said, I'm not letting that out. that would be important intel if they let that information out.
Yeah, I would say this. I feel like just go off of what he did with AJ Brown. Like he followed AJ Brown. I can only imagine he's gonna follow. He's gonna probably follow Mike Evans, especially since he's very familiar with Mike Evans because they're division rivals, so he knows pretty much all he needs to know about Mike Evans. So Mike Evans isn't going to surprise him and vice versa. So, and
Wally, how you talk a little trash and get in each other's head, and whoever can talk that trash to throw the other off, that's going to be the key thing too. But I mean, I think the other thing that you were talking about, what's key things for this Commanders team?
Yeah,
they cannot make mistakes. Those 13 penalties they had a ways back, and when they had that game where they had 5 turnovers, and they fought back. This is a game that you cannot afford to have mistakes like that. You can't have the offensive linemen jumping off sides. Can't have them holding people. You can't have that from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball, pass interference and all those things that will definitely set you back. And then good field position is a key for this team too. To start this. They don't want to be starting way back. So special teams is so important. And Coach Quinn talked about being able to play all 3 phases together, and something that they haven't done all season where everybody is clicking in that game. It would be nice to have that this week, but everybody has, to me, have to be on their P's and Q's. That field position, as far as mistakes, penalties and all that stuff, that's going to play heavy in this game. And people don't realize a lot of people on Tampa Bay's team was in that Super Bowl championship team with Tom Brady. So they have a lot of players that have been to playoffs and the Super Bowls, and unlike a young team. But sometimes when you have a young team, you have no fear. It's the pressure is not on you because you like, hey, I haven't been there before and whatever. I don't know what to expect. We're just going to go out and play. Where you have a veteran team that's been there and tasted it a little bit, sometimes they come out a little more tight.
I think Simmons referring to Mike Evans and Lattimore says, I just hope they allow them both a physical game and not call it one-sided as long as they are not over excessive. Yeah, I hope
that's what I was just saying is the officiating and everything, where ticky-tack fouls, but if they call the true fouls, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
And along with the players and everything, the officials got to be on their A game also.
Yeah, I don't want him one-sided. I'm with that. Just make it fair. That's all.
Yeah.
Todd said, if Lattimore is not following Mike Evans, that tells me that the hamstring is iffy. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. But right now, they're saying that he's good to go and everything. I mean, I chatted with him a little bit as we were moving around because, Lattimore is not one of the people that's going to talk. He's like a Sean Teller. He's like a Sean Teller that's only going to give you bits and pieces. But, I was just, talking to him about how excited he is to be in the playoffs. Bet you glad that he ain't on the Saints team.
I know he happy. That's a come up. He moving on up like the Jeffersons. That's a come up.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as I can see, the hamstring is not an issue right now. He's got to be able to rest it a little bit more. But again, we just have to wait and see. That this is the telltale. All everything is laid out on the table.
No lies
He
told.
wants to eat the spread.
No lies told. Danny said McMillan versus Sanistrell should be a great matchup. Hoping he can continue his great play against Dallas. Mikey's gonna be fine. I think
Mikey is not going to back down. The thing that, you know what, when they moved Mikey to the outside from the inside, and that was an experiment because early on I asked Coach Quinn about that, and he was saying that they were experimenting with that. They didn't know how it was going to pan out because Mikey's true position is inside.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that he was playing his best ball in the inside at the time that they switched him up. And once they switched him up, it was like the bulb just went off. It was like we found his true calling, his true position. And that was just testing him earlier on. So somebody had asked, if Lattimore comes, would they put Mikey back in? I was like, that is not happening. Mm-hmm. Mikey, they know how valuable he is on that outside. And, that's a key thing for this Commanders team is coming into the season. The cornerback position was the biggest concern. But hopefully, I don't think you have to worry about Mikey Sainristil. And as they say, corners are going to get beat all the time.
Yeah,
the thing about it is you got to you don't want to get beat more than you make those plays. And I think that right now, if this team they're going in pretty healthy. A lot of people that were, ailing the last part of the season. This Commander team, I think, has gotten well over that bug that was going around. So I think that's the key thing right now to look at is this team is healthy going into this game. And Dan Quinn is excited about being back there along with Kingsbury and all of those guys. So I think that this team is excited about, having the opportunity the first year with a whole new coaching staff, recalibration, not an overhaul, but what they see in this team right now.
So Donna, obviously we talked about the first matchup. They got beat 37-20. And they got dominated. That was like I said, that was the only game I felt like Washington got dominated throughout the season. But what did the Commander? What do you think the Commanders need to do to improve on compared to what their first encounter was? Like, what from the first encounter they need to improve on in this game?
Well, as Darren Armstrong and even Bobby Wagner said, totally different team from that first time.
Got you.
Okay. Armstrong was telling me, and I talked to him about that. He said, when they played them, and even Dante Fowler said that when they played them first time, Baker Mayfield was running all over the place.
Yeah.
And not only that, he said this was the first time as a defense that they were really playing a lot of different moving pieces on defense. So they were just getting familiar with each other for the most part. So now that they've been able to really come together as a unit, you're seeing their play. So think about this, Wally. When you watch them play in that first week against Tampa Bay and through the stretch of the season, totally different team. The only thing that they're still not doing is stopping the run. But as far as the other things that they were getting beat on, as far as controlling the quarterback and all of those things, the coverage is one of the better coverage. Their pass coverage is really tops. So I think that's where you've seen them improve a lot. So I think from the first time, you can't even compare the first time to right now because they've improved in so many areas. But the one area, again, that they have to be able to be key this week is stopping the run, stopping Bucky Irvins and stopping also Baker Mayfield and not giving him that time to get outside because Baker Mayfield will go one way, come back the other way, spin around. As they said, you have to be able to get him down. Missed tackles and all of those things. This is not the game to be being sloppy about your tackling and all those things. So I think on the defensive side of the ball, those are the areas that I see that still needs to improve a little bit is them stopping Baker Mayfield as far as the run. And then just the secondary has played well as far as that, but the defensive front has to be able to put the pressure up front.
Yeah,
they got to get some sacks, but turnovers would be a gift if they can get some of those too.
Yeah, which can go hand in hand, right? You can sack, fumble, but Paul said Luvu has to have a great has to have a big game, create havoc in the pass rush. within pass rushing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody has to be on their assignments, and then like I said, in the you look at Washington in the first game on offense too, and like I said, that they have grown bounds on offense from that first game, because now Jayden Daniels has gotten his feet wet. I mean, his as far as his growth, as far as what he's seeing on the field, what defenses are throwing at him. So I think that growth on the offense overall, and now, like I said, having Tyler back, Biotish back, that is such a big key right there. And again, where Washington can beat Tampa is their tight end play, because Tampa doesn't do a good job of guarding the tight end. So Hurts and all those guys should, to me, have solid games, but you have to be able to protect Jayden also, to give him the time and everything. And as Jayden is a weapon, running the ball and throwing the ball. So, like I said, I think this Commanders team, being a young team, they have no fear, have no fear at all. And I think that's an X factor going into this game also. And you know what? Who is the team that coaches their that chess match? Who wins that? Will it be Dan Quinn and company, or will it be Todd Bowles over there? And remember, I covered Todd Bowles when he was here.
He was a player.
I like Todd Bowles, but Todd, we're not having that this game.
I know that's right.
Sorry, Todd, you got to go home.
Nah, I like that. So for me, like the most important thing, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, the coverage should be better, because I think they're better in terms of coverage. They're not giving up as many big plays as they were earlier in the season. But I would say, like, and I think you kind of tackled it. It's basically finishing a play and tackling Baker Mayfield. Like, they had many plays in that game. They had their hands all over him, and they just didn't bring him down.
Didn't get him down.
Yeah. So and it's something that I think Todd said, like, finishing plays. You know what I'm saying? Two things that needs to do: finish plays. The defense left 3.5 sacks on the field that game. The next thing is Jayden be the Jayden that he is now. The Bucs secondary is going to leave a lot of holes. They are, especially if they blitz. This is true. Quick slants will be there. I agree with all that, Todd.
No, and this is the other thing. So when Coach Witt talked about last week, what he liked about what he saw is that when down in the trenches in the red zone, this Commanders team stood up and kept them out of the end zone. So that's the key thing also, is I think that, like they said, you just said that, finishing plays on both sides of the ball. And Baker Mayfield, I mean, they literally had a hand around him, and he was like a fish that just got out of the waters. Yeah. So then Dante Fowler talked about that to me on Thursday, is that they have to get him wrapped up and get him down. They can't let him run all the way around, and that's the thing, is if you up front do your assignments, he's never going to be able to get out there to do that damage. True.
Very true. I totally agree with you. I think that was eye-catching, that game, where I felt like they could have got out of situations if they just put him down. They just didn't finish the play. I think, to your point, I think that would be huge. If they could finish a couple plays this game, in the playoff game, I think they'll be in a better situation, a more of an advantageous situation. Danny said major key to keep Jayden and the O-line will be getting the running game going. I would like to see them go outside instead of inside. Hopefully that can keep them going.
Well, this is going to be the thing that helps. That is to have Austin Eckler back. Yeah. Because when I watch them run up the middle, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. It ain't. And then not only that, they got to stay true to the run. I mean, you have to put the ball in the running back's hand more than 18 times to keep Tampa Bay honest. But I think with the Austin Eckler in there, when you watch how he just kind of like, cut back, slicing and all of that, that to me helps that running game a lot more. I just think last week they got away from the run. They had Jayden and Mariota run a lot, which is fine, because if you see an opening, you got to take it. Whether it's the running back, whether it's the quarterback. Hey, this is one and done. It either you win and you keep moving on, or you lose and you go home and you pack up on this coming Monday. And the Commanders, I don't think, is ready for that. And everybody is thinking that they can't get this on the road. But I think if they play the way that they're capable of playing, coming out quickly, fast, they can't be slow out the gates. They've got to be like, the sprinter. You got to be the first one out of the blocks and down the runway and coming across the finish line. You got to be a Noah Lyles that wins the race at the end. I mean, he and maybe not, because he's slow sometimes coming out.
I think you say Bolt or something. Usain Bolt.
Maybe Bolt, because he basically comes out that block. So, but the key thing is, whoever gets out that blocks first and down that runway is going to be key. And hopefully the Commanders right now will be that team versus playing catch up all the time, because in a game like the playoffs, where it's heightened even more so, and it gets to be tight, like I said earlier, you don't want to be playing catch up, even though, like Bobby Wagner said, they have proven that they can play catch up and all that, but you definitely don't want to put yourself in that predicament, because he's been with the Legend of Boom, with championship teams and all that, where they just took control of the game from the beginning. And hopefully this Commanders team can do likewise.
I totally agree. What did Dujane? What's going on? Dujane said, covering these teams in the South. The Bucks are very inconsistent. It's going to be imperative for them to maintain their gap responsibilities now. Not trying to be a hero, or Baker will make you pay.
Well, that's the thing about Tampa. They've been so inconsistent as a team. 1 week they're up. You don't know which team is going to come out, because for a stretch, Tampa Bay didn't look like they were going to make it into the playoffs, because they were losing games against teams that you thought that they should have won. And like you say, as much as we talk about the Commanders as far as their gap control and staying true and not trying to force things, same thing with that. The pressure is on them too, because everybody expects Tampa to win. So they may come out a little tight and try to force things a lot more. So that's going to be the interesting thing right there. And I think that Jayden's, his take on just life and the game and everything, where he doesn't let anything rattle him, that he thinks that he's got that I'm going to win at all costs, no matter what. If I got to put this team on my shoulder, we're not going to lose this game. So I said, my kind of player. That's what I like. I said, never out of the game, never, as they say, never out of the fight. That's what this team believes, that they are never out of the fight. But you know what? Believe in it. Sometimes it manifests itself right there.
Yeah, Todd said I need Joe Witt Jr. to channel his inner Greg Williams. I love.
Hey, what you say? Bring on the blitz a little bit more.
Yeah, well, he said this is what Todd. Actually, I'm gonna add it in. This is what he said before that, though. I get what he's saying now. He said, "I know this may be blasphemy, but I wouldn't mind a 15-yard roughing the passer early if we get a good hit. Baker, let him know early. Speed up his clock."
I know. I don't need. I just say that we can't have no penalties.
I know. Todd tried to do like the Karate Kid when you like sweep the leg type thing and kind of like let him know.
No. I can't have no penalties under no rubber things. That sets the tone for them getting flags on down the line. So no. If they stay true to what they're supposed to do assignment-wise, they don't have to worry about nobody. They can get Baker Mayfield down, as far as just stopping him. But, roughing the passer calls, that's something the Commanders get a lot of.
I know.
But Coach Quinn was talking to Dante about, him being tall, and then you got shorter quarterbacks. You got to get your body down a little lower. So that's what they've got to basically, because you think, your emotions are going to be at an all-time high. So you're going to be like, out there. But whoever settles themselves down also in this game is going to be key, because when you come out, everybody is going to feel each other out and the emotions are high. But can you level yourself down to basically play your game, calm yourself down? That's the key thing going into any game, is who basically settle in first.
I think Commanders chaplain Rev Shaheed Fry said Cliff is ready to go in his
He's
bag.
He's getting ready to pull out all the stuff out the bag.
I think he is, though. I think he ain't lying. That De'Ami playing with
De'Ami Brown last week. I told De'Ami, I said, man, I didn't know you had that in you. He said, I was in quarterback, remember? But I said, hey, De'Ami, I didn't know you had that. I said, you threw a perfect spiral pass that he dropped, that it was dead in his hand. But I'm telling you, all those things that Kingsbury hasn't pulled out of his bag right now, this is when you pull it out of the bag, because guess what? When are you going to use it? You better use it now so that you can move on to the next round.
He was in his bag. All right, my man Paul got a question for you, Donna. He said, "Do you think we have reached our full potential this year yet? Have we reached our full potential?"
Not at all. Not at all, because they still have so many things they need to improve on still on the offensive side of the ball. Hey, have they been able to run consistently? Nope. But one thing that I must say, I must give the offensive line some credit and love, because I didn't think they had a chance, offensive line. I didn't think they would be good. I thought that was one of the areas that was going to be the weakest link, and those guys have stepped up and played well. Offensive line wise, I mean, they've had hiccups here and there, but for the most part, way better, 10 times better than I thought they would. So I don't even think that they even tapped into their potential. They're just proving that imagine if they had the other pieces that they need on this team, how good it would be. So if they're playing with some pieces that are missing, that needs to be plugged in still, I think they still need a pass rusher on the defensive side of the ball. And on the offense, you can't have enough offensive line. So I think the Commanders, when they look at the next season and in the draft and all of that, I think when you build your line play on both sides, offense and defense, you can plug in other pieces, but teams that are in the playoff right now, look at their offensive lines and defensive lines. Those and look at the teams that can run the ball also. I think that's the thing to me with the Commanders, is that this team, even being what they are, I don't even think that they tapped into what they can do. Because I think I asked Jayden this past week, I said, has anything surprised you basically of what you've been able to do or what you found in yourself to say, whoa? And he just said that he's been a sponge, basically soaking up all the stuff from older players, veteran players that have been here before, how to, do a certain thing. So he said that he's just trying to get better as a quarterback. Man, could you imagine? He's already
pretty good.
So it's almost like if you get any better, man, it's going to be scary. It's already scary anyway. I think the play of like I said, the wide receivers have picked up their play. So they surprised me over the last few weeks as far as Olamide and, like I said, Crowder, and even De'Ami Brown. He was out a game or so with that ankle injury. And then Terry, what he's been able to do because of a Jayden Daniel being able to get him the ball. So I think it's still an upside for this team because of just the players that they have here. And I even think that the coaching staff have an upside also in what they can do also with. And imagine if they had all the pieces that they had. And I don't know who's going to be here next year, coaching staff wise, but I just think that you haven't even tapped into really what this team is capable of doing if they go out there and play.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dandy has a question for you. He says, which defensive player has the most to prove for this Sunday? Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne?
Both.
I agree with that. I think both.
Both. I think both, because these two guys went to Alabama together. They've been with the Commanders from day one together. So you think that they should even be clicking even better. I remember one season they really played well together. And now since John Allen has come back this last game or so, I think that up front, because what did I say? They got to have the pressure up front.
Yeah.
For me, they've got to control that defensive line up front. So I think both of those two guys have to play the game of their life. I need to see some sacks. I need to see them dominating. They have to dominate up front. I think both of those guys.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think both of them have to dominate. You know what I mean? It has to get to a point where we can't like pin one or the other. They both got to dominate. They call them the Alabama Wall for a reason. That was their nickname for a reason. Like they both got to show they got to show what they were drafted for. I mean, you know, Jonathan Allen come back from injury. Deron Payne, he got the bag and really hasn't been the dude since he's got the same dude since he got the bag. Like that year he had double-digit sacks. He had a great year. They need him to come back to have that type of dominance. I think all could be forgotten if they have a good run in this postseason. So I'm with you, Don.
I ain't nothing going to be forgotten. I'm about consistency. I'm about not just doing it one or two times.
No, I'm saying they got a good run. I'm saying they have a good run in postseason.
They got a good start. Let's just say that. A good jump start again.
Oh, you gotta love her. You gotta love her out here for you, Donna. Chaplain Rev says, Ms. Hopkins, I appreciate your intellect and articulation and questions during the coaches' questions. Your voice is identifiable. God bless.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm always trying to ask coaches of what the fans may want to know to get dived in deeper, to understanding their thinking, game time. And then also as a reporter of doing my job as far as what I would want to know about this team. So I appreciate those kind comments.
Yeah, I told you, Donna's a legend. She won the GOAT. So I don't just say that. I don't just say that. I mean that too when I say it. I say that with realness. Todd said, all jokes aside, Martin and Chin should have a big game, especially with Lattimore and Mikey match up well with the Bucs wide receivers. Should allow our big hitting safeties to really help with the run and hit everything that moves. Yeah,
hey, I think Chin. That smacked me in the face because how could I not mention Jeremy?
I know.
Because thank you for that. Thank you for that because Jeremy Chin has been balling. I mean, this guy would, thank God he's back from the concussion and all of that stuff because him and Quan Martin has played well all season long. I mean, to me in his second year, and guess what? Quan Martin is going back home to, the Tampa area where he's from.
Oh, okay. I know.
Yeah, he talked to me a little bit about that, how fun it's going to be for him. But let me just tell you, Jeremy Chin, for them to get Jeremy Chin, we talk about Frankie Louvu and what Frankie Louvu has done. Yeah. Jeremy Chin does so much for that defense. His tackling is solid. His coverage is solid. I mean, the safety play to me is spot on. But Jeremy Chin needs to pat on the back because what he's been able to do, and the coaches constantly talk about his communication and everything on the field. So Jeremy Chin has been a big lift for this defense. But like I said, up front, you got to do your job.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Chin has been amazing. Actually, because a lot of people were mad that Cam Curl wasn't in the building anymore. I think Jeremy Chin kind of had folks forget about him.
I like him. I like him. But guess what? Jeremy Chin has came and played, and when you come to play and you make others forget who was here, you're doing your job.
You're doing your job. Exactly. Paul has a question for you, Donna. He said, "Did the team feel confident and relaxed?"
Oh, I was telling somebody about that today. I said, when I was out there this week, you thought, and I think I mentioned it earlier on this show, is that they seemed like they were so relaxed. I thought that they were a veteran team because you didn't see anybody being nervous. They were going around like they have been all season long. It wasn't like that they were, like they said, they treat this like it's another game, even though it's not just another game because, this is a game that if you don't win, you go home. But they weren't, I mean, you couldn't see nerves or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh man, we in the playoffs. It was just like, hey, we got another game to play. That's what I saw. I saw the team that's the reason why I said, I was like, gosh, they don't seem like they're a youth team and all that. And maybe because when I talked to some of the veteran players like the Dante Fowler and Armstrong and Bobby and Some of them have said, because they've been there before, that they've talked to some of the younger players that this is their first time, or even like the Quan Martin, this is his second year. So some of these players ain't never been, and De'Ami Brown, like he said, I ain't never been to a playoff. And some of these guys hadn't even won 12 games in their whole life career. So I think the veteran leadership and the coaching has settled this team down, that they're going into this like it's another game that they've got to go and play and win. It's not like, oh, it's the playoffs. No, it's that to me, that they're kind of like a veteran team that's been there before. That's what I saw in the locker room. I saw a calm, relaxed team.
That's dope. I'm glad they're relaxed. They need to be relaxed. That's the best way to do well when you're doing any type of postseason tournament, whatever. It's just to be relaxed.
Yeah.
Christian from the UK. What's going on, Christian? Said vital to stop the explosive plays. From the UK. The Commanders seem to have a really close-knit group that could be a real factor. Great live stream. Thank you. Hail from the UK. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, they do. That brotherhood is for real. When I say for real, it is for real. You definitely, this is a team that you definitely will want to be on. When they put all these players came from various different teams. Coach Witt brought a lot of guys with him from Dallas, Coach Quinn, and then every coach that's on this coaching staff brought some players where they used to coach.
It's true, yeah.
Jeremy Chin, in Carolina, and Bobby Wagner, he was played with Dan Quinn, and some of the other guys.
Marcus Mariota with Brian Johnson.
Johnson. When you think about it, this was kind of like put together really well when they put together this coaching staff, and they got players from the teams that they used to coach from. You're starting to see why they got those players, because they're manifesting it on the field. And this coaching staff, you understand now why they got that. And Adam Peters, I'm not leaving you out, because the job that you've done this year in pulling the pieces together and keeping the pieces together when they had injuries and so forth, man, A+.
A++. Nielsen, Jerome, Dilliard. Hey, what's going on, Jay? He says Jay Daniels needs to step up and incomplete passes and make step up incomplete passes and make plays with his legs. He means complete passes and make plays with his legs. Yeah, I agree.
But the thing about Jayden, he's just got to take the game as it comes to him. Sometimes people try to press too much and try to do too much. Whatever whatever the game is dictating to you, that's what I think Jayden is going to me, that's where Jayden is good at, as far as whatever the game, let the game come to you. And I think that's the key thing, not trying to force anything. We talked about that with the Baker Mayfield a little earlier about, I think somebody wrote about him pressing it and sometimes forcing things. And I just think that you have to let the game come to you, and you dictate what is there, and not trying to force anything. Let Jayden be just what Jayden has been all season long. Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Fantastic. This is a Bucs fan, but it's cool. I appreciate you, though. I appreciate this. I appreciate you. He said, win or lose, this season has been a huge win, a good draft, and you guys should be scary next year. Appreciate you. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that this is a game between two great quarterbacks. When you look at, like I said, Baker's
having a good year, too.
4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, just 16 interceptions, and then Jayden Daniels with over, not taking anything away from him because he had a tremendous year also. I think I have his numbers here somewhere because I don't want to cheat quarterback on this side also. But Jayden, I think over 3,000 and some yards on the year. Hasn't had many interceptions either. So, and as far as the touchdowns, Jayden just been the rookie of the year, rookie of the week over and over again, and he definitely should be the MVP.
Rookie
of the year.
Yeah, rookie of the year.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be Wally, a conversation.
Oh, I don't entertain it. I just think that's just other people just trying to throw their own narrative. Because
what he has done has just been like crazy this season. But You know what? We just days away from this showdown Sunday night at 8 p.m. prime time. You don't want to stink it up on prime time. But the good thing about this Commanders team, being that they just played a primetime game just before this one, is going to be able to help them a lot, under the lights with all eyes on you.
And yeah, I totally agree with you. And another good thing, I do kind of want to talk about this real quick. Like this team, when they play the team the second time, they always do better. Like I believe they're undefeated on the second game. So can you talk about that? What is it about this team that makes them so effective when they see a team for the second time?
I think you understand the team better because going up against them the first time, you're trying to just kind of like fill them out. And now you understand what they do well, what they don't do well. Same with them. They understand what the Commanders do well and all that. But as they said, when the Redskins back there with John Riggins and whatever, when they were doing the counter gap, you knew every time what they were going to do, the counter gap. But the key thing was, can you stop it? No, most teams couldn't stop it. So that's the same thing with this team, is that you understand what your strengths are, you understand what you're going to do, but the key thing is, can they stop you? So I think the Commanders, the second time around when facing teams and everything, they have a better understanding of what that team does and where they can attack that team. And I think that's where you see the difference with the Commanders when they played Philadelphia, although, Jalen Hurts went down. Hey, the defense was still on the other side. Still couldn't stop Commanders' offense. So I think is understanding what they can do, what their strengths are, and how they can attack that team. And that's the thing that I think that even Jayden sees, that, okay, this is what happened the first time around, and this is where I can, counter that this time around. So I think it's just understanding your opponent that you've seen before and you've got some intel on.
Yeah, I like that, because I feel like this team has been really good in terms of figuring out their team, like figuring out what they did wrong in the first game, and then putting that in the first game. Because, like you said, the other team's seeing us for the second time too, but for some strange reason, we're the team that's on top. So I want to give credit to the coaching staff. I think they've done a great job preparing their players for that second game. Knowing that, okay, this is what happened the first game. The second game, okay, let's kind of fix some things and work around it. And they've been good at it to a point where they've been undefeated at it this year.
Think about Kingsbury. Let me throw this in.
Go ahead, go for it.
Remember Kingsbury was getting hammered.
Yeah, I was one of them.
That's the reason why I'm saying it. I'm calling you out too. I'm calling you out too, Wally. Remember when he was getting hammered? Wally was there, and people were talking about his offense was vanilla. He was more like college, yada yada yada. And then he basically said in that Cincinnati game where we saw the coming out party of Kingsbury, he threw everything at them. I mean, they could not even come back. He was countering everything. It was like a heavyweight fight that he was like, I'm coming at you. I'm throwing this at you. And then at the end, he said, now, what do you got to say, Wally? So I think that's where you've seen it too.
I'll give you one better. I even turned on them when they said that the teams were figuring them out in the second half. Like I even turned on them.
Yeah. So and then like I said, he said, bump chest. What do you got to say now?
Look, man, Clifford is bang, man. I seen it. Like I told, like we said earlier, what he did with the Army,
I want him to come out of his bag even more so throwing things at them, because guess what? He's up for coaching jobs too. Yeah. He said that he wasn't going to discuss that. I hope that the Commanders, and I don't want to talk too much about that right now, but I surely hope they don't lose him, because what he has helped Jayden do in his development in the first year has just been, tremendous with his growth and everything. So hopefully, he will see the value. Everybody wants to be a coaching job, and I'm sure he does. He said that he does again, but hopefully he'll realize that it's more value staying right where he's at.
Hopefully, yeah. But I mean, I don't. Not without going into detail with it, but I don't knock him for leaving.
Oh no! Yeah, I'm not knocking him, but I hope he sees the value of staying right here.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes the grass on the other side is not as green.
Oh yeah, definitely. The issue is like you never know you're gonna get that opportunity again. That's the only problem.
Oh, he will.
Well, Donna, I'm gonna say it like your stock can go as high and low. The dude from the Texans, his stock was high last year was C.J. Stroud, and then now It ain't
Hey,
the same
Wally,
anymore.
Wally, come on. You know the
Understand?
revolving door at the NFL.
Yeah,
The
but
revolving door always
that,
revolves around
the
certain people.
money different when you hot. The money when you ain't
Yeah,
hot.
that's true. That's true. That's what I think that he done made himself known that he's a commodity.
Yeah,
That,
he has. He
you
has.
know,
He has.
wherever, whether he win next year or not, I think that. And like you said, when you're hot, that's when you got to basically jump on things.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
that's
but
life.
right now, all I want you to do, Kingsbury, is jump on Tampa Bay.
That's it.
With pulling
Focus.
out that playbook.
Yeah, focus on Tampa. That's all it is for him. Focus
That's
on
all that
Tampa.
matters right now.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Buck? He said people disrespect Bucky Irvin. Hey, bro, I do not disrespect
No,
Bucky Irvin.
no.
I'm
Ain't nobody
I'm woke with Bucky.
1,000-yard rookie year runner.
Yeah.
Everybody, he has basically put life back into that running game for the Buccaneers, and everybody knows that. All this week, all you've been hearing is Bucky Irvins and being able to stop him. And I mean, the way he's been running the ball these last 4 weeks, hey, ain't nobody disrespecting him.
Yeah, Donna got me on the clip takes. Donna got me. Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. Donna got me on the clip takes. I was wrong. Don't get it twisted. She got me on it. Yeah, Donna got me on that one. You said, nah, we can lose him as long as we got JD5. Like coaches, I will say this: coaches is important, man. Coaching is important. Like JD5 is great, but I do think that I'll say this: it's not because it's just JD5. I think that the infrastructure, if he did leave, I do like the infrastructure with Anthony Lynn and Brian Johnson. Now, hopefully he doesn't take any of those dudes with him if he did leave. But with the infrastructure with those dudes, and the quarterback coach, I think that the infrastructure makes it still a good environment for Jayden to still grow, because Jayden's still not perfect even where he's at now. He's not a perfect quarterback, but I think that when you can keep those dudes in the house with him, it's going to make him a better quarterback.
And
Now,
especially the first few years too. But I think that they put this coaching staff together knowing that some of these guys may get snatched up. So if Kingsbury gets snatched up, who is the next person on this staff? You don't lose a beat, really, with Anthony Lynn, some of those guys that's been there as head coaches also. But you hope that, and everybody has to do what's best for himself. But what's best for us right now is this playoff game for this Commanders team to go in there and win this game. Some key factors. I think that Dan Quinn has been helped keep this team level right here, and basically at this moment, how to take this moment. And what Dan Quinn too has learned from himself is the first time around with the Atlanta Falcons, when they go to the Super Bowl, they don't win the Super Bowl, and how he looked at doing things differently to make himself better. And the next opportunity, he's proven that this next opportunity in his first year, look what he's done and what he's learned from the first time around to the second time around, and what his coaching staff is learning too, and what the players also are learning from a Dan Quinn. But that after a game is over and they win a game, you should hear that locker room. I mean, we're on the outside and not in yet because they haven't let us in. Yeah. But anytime you have an owner standing at the locker room congratulating each player, and even when they don't win, that owner is there, and the energy from the owner, and it's not about the owner, it's about the team. That's what the ownership is saying. Unlike, the old ownership, this ownership basically is saying it's about all of us, not just one of us. And so that's what I like about this team as far as the energy that I'm, feeling. But that energy after a win, it's pretty special to hear that locker room. I was like, okay, that's what it's like. And the coach is in the midst of it.
Oh, man. Those videos,
the excitement.
Those videos are awesome. Like that, it's definitely a vibe. When you see those interviews those videos on social media, you're like, wow, like it's a vibe.
Hey, that's the reason why I say it's a difference between the Joe Gibbs era, not taking anything from there, because guess what? They won a couple of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But to see the energy from Dan Quinn that spills over to this team, that's the reason why this team is 12-5 right now.
Yeah,
it's a mixture of that person said that they don't want to lose J5, but really you don't want to lose any of this infrastructure, because once you start building an infrastructure, you can only get better, because right now the building is only half full right now, but you want to constantly keep building to the top where, this team gets even better. We're not talking about just 12-5. We're talking about winning the division and all of that. Yeah. So I think that if they can keep the structure together, at least for a year or two more, that you're going to really see what this Commanders team can do. And not even if they lose one piece or here and there, I think that they perfectly put this coaching staff intact for if somebody happens to get a coaching opportunity.
Well, Donna, we're going to see. We're going to see Sunday.
Hey,
Sunday
you know
night.
what? It's all talk right now. We've already laid out the carpet, laid out the foundation, gave our key points.
Yeah.
And it ain't nothing but a bunch of talk. And now it's about going and putting it to the carpet right now, because you can talk and talk and talk, but it's about come Sunday night at 8 p.m. in Tampa, who's going to show up to take that game and move on into the next round of the playoffs.
I know that's right. Are you already in Florida?
No, I'm headed out on Sunday.
Don't give out all your information. I say, are you already there? Just say no.
No, but I'm headed out Sunday. I mean, they'll know. Trust me.
I ain't trying to give folks your information. I just want you to say yes or no.
I ain't want you to tell know, but people, I will be, on social media, giving you the inside scoop and all of those things to keep you, up on all that's happening, the Commanders and everything. So again, I appreciate those kind words again for those who follow me and support me and the Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus show, and also In the Minute podcast. I got that in before Wally even asked me this time.
You did, but you still didn't plug your social. Like, I'm going to ask you. You should.
Social media. Instagram is DJ Hop 32. I got that right this time.
Well, IG. Then, that's IG. That's IG. Go ahead.
Yeah, IG, and then X is Donna J. Hopkins.
No, it's Donna Hopkins underscore. Why do I know you? It's right here too. Why do I know you?
Okay, if you just punch in Donna Hopkins, you can find me right there. And then also on Facebook and everything.
You don't need to find your Facebook.
That's Facebook. You got the two, but make sure that YouTube. You can go there and I post the Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus TV show. If you don't get Masson, we come on Masson on Mondays. Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 p.m., Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. But, it's posted on Thursday after it runs on Wednesday, so that you can catch us on the YouTube channel. And then our podcast is In the Minute. You can also catch weekly updates throughout the week on the Commanders. So catch us there. I'm getting ready to post something there shortly.
Awesome. Hey, Donna, thanks for being on as always.
Always. Wally, I got you to myself today.
Yeah, look.
I can call you out today.
Exactly.
I'm always going to get you.
I know you are. You are. This is a fact. You are. All right, you are. But safe travels.
I'm going to be true and to saying it like it is.
Oh, you're like I don't want to say the only one. But you're one of very few who do. One of very few. So
ain't be a fan. You got to tell the truth.
Yeah, I love it. That's why I love having you on. Because you just tell like how it is. I do. I'm totally honest with that. Like, I love having you on. You say what you see. There's no political thing involved into it. So I appreciate it. Well, Donna, thanks for being on, Donna.
Tampa.
See you. All right, Donna. Safe travels for real. Safe travels.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, that was Donna D Hop on IG. DJ Hop 32 on IG. On Instagram. On X. She is at Donna Hopkins _. I know Donna's. I know Donna's social. That's why Donna's one of my favorites. So I have to know her socials. She's one of my favorites. So yeah, man. Hopefully the Commanders, we get this W. Hopefully it's gonna be. Look, man. I'm not like my guy who's a Bucs fan in the chat. I ain't shortchanging Baker. I ain't shortchanging Mike Evans. I ain't shortchanging Bucky. I know what Washington. If they can make Baker one-dimensional, then they have a good opportunity to win the football game. That's where my mindset is at. So they got to take it away, but they got to do their best to take away Bucky. You know what I'm saying? They got to. So we get to see this team healthy with Lattimore and company. So we get to see how this defense is when healthy. So hopefully, we get a better result. But yeah, it's on the road. JD5 on prime time. I do like that. And I do like, I mentioned earlier, I do like how this team plays when they got to see a team for a second time. I do like that. I like that about this team. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup for Commander fans, us, most of us in this chat, most of us on this stream. Like, we want to start fast. We don't want the stress. We want to start fast. So we definitely know that. We definitely want that. All right, so it's time for our little prop bets for the Commanders for this game on Sunday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, man, this game going to be interesting. I agree with that. It's definitely going to be interesting. So, obviously, I want to use, Jason. I mean, not Jason. I mean, Jalen said Jason. Jalen. Jaden. I said Jalen. Jaden, Terry McLaurin. I'm using Zach Ertz as well for some of the guys I want to feature on these prop bets. So over or under Terry McLaurin getting 60.5 receiving yards. I'm gonna go over. I think Terry gonna have a game today. I mean, a game on Sunday. So I'm gonna say over. Over under Jay Daniel throws for 20.5 yards. Over or under Jaden throwing for 220.5 passing yards. I'm gonna go over. No, I'm gonna say under. Don't say under. That's tough. I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say you say over. Paul, you got over for Jayden throwing for 220. I'm gonna say under. I think it'll be slightly under 220. What about Terry? Oh, you got both. You got Terry over too. You got both over. Got you. All right. What about Zach Ertz? I got Zach Ertz over under Zach Ertz getting 38.5 receiving yards. I know Zach Ertz get a touchdown. When he get over, I think Zach Ertz has been pretty hot. I'm gonna say over except for Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz can get 40 yards. So I got over for Zach Ertz. Who else wants to chime in? So Paul has two overs. He has both overs. What you got, Zach Ertz, Paul? Before I close this shop out. Oh, you got over. All right, Paul got over. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Anybody else has anything? No? All right, I feel you. But yeah, so far, I've been hitting, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been hitting on these. So far, we got Terry going over 60.5 yards, receiving yards. I have Jaden under 220.5 receiving yards, but probably slightly. Paul has over, and I have over Zach Ertz getting 38.5 receiving yards. I think Jaden's gonna have a bunch of. I actually think Jaden's gonna have a bunch of rushing yards because I do. Todd Bowles is gonna put some. I think Jaden's gonna take off a lot. I think he's gonna take off. But Monday at 4 p.m. Next Monday at 4 p.m. Tune into our Commanders Bucks recap show with former NFL cornerback Lee Bowden. It'll be streaming live on our YouTube, X, IG, and Facebook accounts. They will also be streaming on the Bowie TV YouTube channel. Oh, not Bowie. Sorry, it will not be. That's a lie. But so just those accounts. Actually, I'm thinking about the Bowie TV one. No, just our X, IG, and Facebook accounts and YouTube accounts. Oh yeah, Terry, second team All Pro. Louisville second team as well. Louisville second team All Pro too. So again, let me say it again because I know I kind of went through that. Monday again. Commanders Bucks recap show 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll have former NFL cornerback Lee Bowden on the show. Join me. We're going to talk about the game. We'll recap the game. It's going to be streaming on our YouTube, X, IG, and Facebook accounts. So again, pull up. If you're on our YouTube channel here for the first time, hit that red subscribe button right now. Like the video. Just do it right now. It does well for our Commanders algorithm. So while you're here, hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're done, if you want to give us a comment saying we were dope, we were lit, do that as well. That does well for the algorithm as well. So do that. Also subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. You can follow us on X at Urban Sports Scene, IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene, or like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. You can go to our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. I appreciate even the Bucks fans, man, for pulling up and tuning into the pod, man. You were dope and y'all were respectful, so I appreciate that as well. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. Deuces. I'm out.
Peace.